Well I'm correct digital. Very well done. PSD yeah, pen, thanks. Me for Amrur. Right. Anzi, animaji na mtuli.
Do you have an event and are you wondering how it can be cost-effective with real-time engagement, reusable and quality content that increases your visibility? Rory Studios has got your back. We offer live streaming services from church gatherings, business conferences, live music concerts, weddings, sports events, funerals, and any other live gatherings on all social media platforms. Rory Studios. Your plans, our goal. Do you have an event and are you wondering how it can be cost-effective with real-time engagement, reusable and quality content that increases your visibility? Rory Studios has got your back. We offer live streaming services from church gatherings, business conferences, live music concerts, weddings, sports events, funerals, and any other live gatherings on all social media platforms. Rory Studios.
That's fine. Check on that. Tumira D. Nakumira tablet. Shama, indonta zote au ni tablet yao. Kana kanono katuta. Tablet yao.
Your plans, our goal. Do you have an event and are you wondering how it can be cost-effective with real-time engagement, reusable and quality content that increases your visibility? Rory Studios has got your back. We offer live streaming services from church gatherings, business conferences, live music concerts, weddings, sports events, funerals, and any other live gatherings on all social media platforms. Rory Studios. Your plans, our goal. Do you have an event and are you wondering how it can be cost-effective with real-time engagement, reusable and quality content that increases your visibility? Rory Studios has got your back. We offer live streaming services from church gatherings, business conferences, live music concerts, weddings, sports events, funerals, and any other live gatherings on all social media platforms. Rory Studios. Your plans, our goal. Do you have an event and are you wondering how it can be cost-effective with real-time engagement, reusable and quality content that increases your visibility? Rory Studios has got your back. We offer live streaming services from church gatherings, business conferences, live music concerts, weddings, sports events, funerals, and any other live gatherings on all social media platforms. Rory. Our goal. Do you have an event and are you wondering how it can be cost-effective with real-time engagement, reusable and quality content that increases your visibility? Rory Studios has got your back. We offer live streaming services from church gatherings, business conferences, live music concerts, weddings, sports events, funerals, and any other live gatherings on all social media platforms. Rory Studios. Your plans, our goal. Do you have an event and are you wondering how it can be cost-effective with real-time engagement, reusable and quality content that increases your visibility? Rory Studios has got your back. We offer live streaming services from church gatherings, business conferences, live music concerts, weddings, sports events, funerals, and any other live gatherings on all social media platforms. Rory Studios. Your plans, our goal. Do you have an event and are you wondering how it can be cost-effective with real-time engagement, reusable and quality content that increases your visibility? Rory Studios has got your back. We offer live streaming services from church gatherings, business conferences, live music concerts, weddings, sports events, funerals, and any other live gatherings on all social media platforms. Rory Studios. Your plan.
Welcome to the second post-cabinet briefing. To lead us in our deliberations, let me invite the chairperson of the post-cabinet briefing sessions, Honorable Mswere, to give us this cabinet highlights.
Thank you, Chief Secretary. Thank you, members of the Fourth Estate. Cabinet considered and noted the report on the Food Deficit Mitigation Program as presented by the Minister of Public Service, Labour and Social Welfare, Honorable Edgar Moyo. The third blitz in terms of food distribution commenced on the 1st of November 2024 and ended on the 31st of January 2025, with deserving people having received assistance from the government of Zimbabwe. The government of Zimbabwe has distributed over 90% of the total grain to food insecure and vulnerable households, whilst development partners have distributed 10%. The fourth blitz distribution phase commenced on the 1st of February 2025 and is expected to end on the 31st of March 2025. The government of Zimbabwe will finalize the first round in terms of crop assessment. Cabinet considered an update on the National Drug and Substance Abuse Response covering the period 1 September 2024 to 31st of January 2025, as presented by the Minister of Skills Audit and Development, Honorable Professor Paul Mavima. Cabinet wishes to advise the nation that during the period under review, 79 illegal drug bases were destroyed, with a total of 9,527 offenders arrested, with also a total of 616 suppliers also arrested and 8,911 end users also arrested. Collaboration with international law enforcement agencies led to the arrest of other 3 people who were carrying 23 kilograms of dacha. The Medicines Control Authority of Zimbabwe conducted 117 inspections and closed 5 non-compliant premises. 155,421 youths benefited from the vocational training programs. The Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education has integrated the drug and substance abuse program into the school curriculum, reaching 7,274,000 learners, whilst 62,656 students were engaged in terms of prevention programs through the Ministry of Higher and Tertiary Education, Innovation, Science and Technology Development. The Ministry of Women Affairs, Community, Small and Medium Enterprises Development conducted awareness programs reaching 111,000 people. The nation is also informed that the Ministry of Sports, Recreation and Arts engaged 11,000 participants in cultural and sports events, while religious organizations also educated 16,000 congregants through sermons and awareness programs. Entities such as Visionary Cadres Association of Zimbabwe and Mbatira Pamwe reached over to assist into their families. 6,695 parents attended parenting sessions and 1,161 people were reached through online support education platforms. Awareness campaigns were aired on national television and community radio stations, whilst new followers were engaged through social media platforms. The government of Zimbabwe will continue to review the current legislation in order to address the drug and substance abuse challenges. Cabinet received and approved an MOU between the Republic of Zimbabwe and the Republic of Rwanda, and between the Republic of Zimbabwe and the Republic of South Africa on cooperation in the field of youth affairs, as presented by the Minister of Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs, Honorable Ziyambi Ziyambi. The Republic of Zimbabwe and the Republic of South Africa desire to cooperate in the mutual development of young people through existing bilateral arrangements. The areas of cooperation include life skills, training and capacity development, entrepreneurship development, agriculture, agro-processing and manufacturing, market development, technology development and transfer of skills, skills development, programs for youths in conflict with the law, tourism business development, health promotion programs, and transformation and empowerment programs. Some of the objectives include raising the standard of living for youths in disadvantaged communities, thus reducing poverty, promoting and facilitating life skills, training and capacity building for youths for sustainable nation building, promoting rural development based on youth in agriculture, and reducing criminal activities committed by youths whilst creating peace and crime-free countries. The same also applies in terms of the MOU between the Republic of Zimbabwe and the Republic of Rwanda. Cabinet received and approved the proposal for the ratification of the SADC Interstate Protocol on the transfer of sentenced offenders, as presented by the Minister of Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs, Honorable Ziyambi Ziyambi. On the 18th of August 2019, His Excellency the President, Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa, signed the SADC Interstate Protocol on the transfer of sentenced offenders. The objective of the protocol is to facilitate the transfer of sentenced offenders of the sentencing and the administering states. The ratification of the protocol demonstrates Zimbabwe's commitment to international cooperation and adherence to global norms, and would also strengthen Zimbabwe's diplomatic relations with other SADC member states. Cabinet received and noted the report on the Africa Prosperity Dialogues, which was held from the 30th of January to the 1st of February 2025 in Accra, Ghana, as presented by the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Trade, Honorable Professor Amon Muruira. The government of Zimbabwe attended the Africa Prosperity Dialogues 2025 upon invitation. The conference was attended by 46 African countries represented by heads of state, policymakers and business leaders in hybrid format. Key highlights of the Africa Prosperity Dialogues included the following: the importance of fostering trade and economic integration across the continent, industrialization and trade supporting infrastructure to enhance intra-Africa trade, and financial and digital trade issues. Cabinet received and noted the report on His Excellency the President's attendance to the African Union's 38th Ordinary Session in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, from the 15th to the 16th of February 2025, as presented by the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Trade, Honorable Professor Emon Mruira. His Excellency the President, Comrade Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa, led the Zimbabwean delegation to the 38th Ordinary Session of the Assembly of Heads of State and Government, which was held under the theme Justice for Africans and People of African Descent through Reparations. The assembly was attended by 34 heads of state and government, 2 vice presidents, and 4 prime ministers. His Excellency the President, Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa, participated in the African Union Peace and Security Council meeting on the peace and security situation in the Sudan and the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. The President, in his capacity as the chairperson of the Southern African Development Community, delivered a message that resonated with the views of the Council in calling for the emerging of the Luanda and Nairobi peace processes, an unconditional ceasefire, unfettered access to humanitarian assistance, inclusive dialogue, the withdrawal of M23 and uninvited forces from the DRC. The Council reaffirmed its support for the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the Democratic Republic of Congo. The Peace and Security Council meeting also welcomed and reaffirmed the outcomes of the SADC Extraordinary Summit on the security situation in the DRC. Zimbabwe participated in a number of bilateral and sideline meetings on the margins of the 38th African Union Summit. His Excellency, the President, Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa, as well as the chairperson of SADC, attended a high-level meeting on domestic financing. The purpose of the meeting was to explore innovative strategies for addressing financial and Africa's health systems. His Excellency the President also emphasized the need for domestic mobilization in order to curb disease outbreaks. His Excellency the President, Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa, also met the UAE Minister of State for Foreign Affairs and emphasized that Zimbabwe is open for business. Other engagements also included His Excellency the President's meeting with the President of the Republic of Mozambique, His Excellency Comrade Daniel Chapo. The two leaders reaffirmed the existing excellent government-to-government and party-to-party relations. The Zimbabwean delegation also met the Minister of Foreign Affairs for the Republic of Ethiopia. The two countries also agreed to resume the Joint Permanent Commission of Cooperation in Addis Ababa this year. His Excellency the President, Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa, also hosted a press conference for the SADC candidate, Dr. Mayimbo from Zambia, and the press conference was attended also by the President of the Republic of Burundi, who is also the COMESA chairman. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for presenting today's cabinet highlights. We now move to the first round of speakers from you colleagues from the press. Yes.
What's the latest on resource mobilization for public rehabilitation centers?
Thank you very much. Yes.
Okay, I'm Stanley James. My question is related to the Minister of Foreign they proposed they put on the African dialogue. They put on the African dialogue. What is its significance on Zimbabwe?
Yes.
Thank you. My name is Ruiza Izinyuke from the Herald. My questions are directed to Professor Mavima. What is the capacity of the 3 new rehabilitation centers, and are there plans to establish more centers? The second one is how sustainable are the psychosocial support programs, and what follow-up mechanisms exist for the rehabilitated individuals? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Over to you, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Chief Secretary Dr. Shua. The first and the third question to Professor Mavima, in terms of resource mobilization, what is the current status? I think the same also applies with the third question about the capacity in terms of the 3 new rehabilitation centers that have been established, and what is the way forward in terms of the construction of new rehabilitation centers. Over to you, Prof.
Thank you. On issues of resource mobilization, I would really want the 4th estate to understand that the bulk of the resources that we are going to use for the entire anti-drug abuse program under the task force is going to come from Treasury. There's been an allocation of over 800 million ZIG for the program for 2025. So that allocation is there. We are now just waiting for the release of funds from Treasury to kickstart our programs, including for purposes of making sure that our new rehabilitation centers are resourced with facilities, equipment, as well as the necessary staff, and also if in cases where there is need for medication, they are also provided with the medicines. But we are not limiting ourselves to the amounts that have been allocated under the national budget. We are soon going to have a high-level event where we will be calling for private partners to come and support this program. Remember also that the task force is actually a whole of society task force. We have participants from the private sector, from the non-governmental sector, from churches, from traditional leaders in this whole task force. And we want also to see the same representation in terms of the resources that are contributed in fighting against the menace of drug and substance abuse. So very soon we'll be holding this high-level event. Then the capacity of the 3 new rehabilitation centers, we are still working on making sure that we have put in the necessary beds and other equipment in these 3 centers, in Victoria Falls, in Lawayo, as well as in Kwekwe. So we can't really specify the number that would be accommodated in these 3 but suffice it to say that these are quite big facilities. In the case of Kwekwe, this facility used to be a beer hall, and you know, it was disused, and I think this is quite an innovative way to use public facilities that have that are no longer being used for previous purposes for which they were used. And you will not see the beer hall when you go there. You will see a proper rehabilitation center. So the capacities, definitely, we will know as we finish the process of making sure that these facilities are functional. The third question relates to psychosocial support. Remember, this is a responsibility for the pillar that does psychosocial support, as well as societal reintegration of those who have been helped with rehabilitation. And this is particularly under the Ministry of Public Service, Labour and Social Welfare. This is a ministry that has very much experience in the area of psychosocial support. This is the ministry that has social workers in it, and has a lot of experience. They have also the architecture to follow up and make sure that you know, these people who have been reintegrated are actually not falling into recidivism. But at the same time, the same ministry is running a program for livelihoods to support those who have been integrated so that they can be self-reliant. So it's not just psychosocial support, but it's also supporting these individuals so that they can stand on their own 2 feet. I thank you.
Yes. The last question is to the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Trade on the significance of the Africa Prosperity Dialogue platform. Over to you, Prof.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. This was asked by Stanley James. Thank you very much for the question. I want to start by saying that Zimbabwe is a member or a signatory to the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, FTA, which is a platform for Africa to increase trade amongst itself. So the Africa Prosperity Dialogue that was held in Ghana from the 31st of January to the 1st of February was basically a trade facilitation dialogue. And its main focus was on trade facilitation infrastructure, that is from roads themselves to digital infrastructure to unified payment systems to promote intra-African trade. As you know, especially on the issue of intra-Africa payment systems, most of the payment systems that are made in Africa, when we are trading between two African countries, they go via another continent before they can, the money goes to, or is guaranteed by banks from another continent for us to trade amongst ourselves. So this platform, the Africa Prosperity Dialogue is basically that platform that is meant to facilitate the operationalization of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. So what is the interest of Zimbabwe in this? One of the issues that is very important to always remember is that the country's prosperity comes from trade. I repeat, a country's prosperity comes from trade. Therefore, as our national objective of making our country prosperous with people that are happy and having fulfilling lives, we have to do trade. And platforms that provide us with the opportunity to increase trade based on our local production systems are the best platforms for this country, and I can say they are in national interest. When it comes to a very simple word, we say it's in our national interest. Basically, that's the advantage to Zimbabwe, because we believe that when we create platforms and opportunities for Zimbabwe to trade, we are actually working for the prosperity of Zimbabwe. As you know, we also have our Vision 2030, where we want to become an upper middle income economy. And we cannot become an upper middle income economy by just eating what is in Zimbabwe, but by trading with other countries so that we can increase the amount of goods and services which are exported, therefore increase the capital in Zimbabwe. And basically trading within Africa and with the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, this is the best thing that can ever happen. So this is why it was important for Zimbabwe to attend this, and I repeat, the country's prosperity comes from trade with other countries. It's about exports and imports. As we say, buying is not trade, but selling and buying is trade. Therefore, trade is the hallmark of prosperity of any country. I hope I have explained why it was important to attend this Africa Prosperity Dialogue within the context of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. I thank you.
Over to you, Chief.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ministers, for responding to those questions. Let us move to the last 3 questions. Again, we'll ask ministers to respond to those questions. Yes.
Thank you, Chief Secretary. My name is Muguze Chiwale from the Herald. My question is directed to the Minister of International Trade. Minister, I think just ended the African Union Summit, which you attended together with the President. The President had several engagements with the President's several engagement that the Minister has already mentioned. I just wanted to ask how do you anticipate these meetings will translate into economic benefits for Zimbabwe, and also what steps will the government take to ensure that the momentum from these discussions is maintained? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Hello, I'm Pavel Onetsa from Russian news agency TASS. My question also goes for Minister of Foreign Affairs. I would like to find out what is the understanding of Zimbabwe and SADC on the future of SADC peacekeepers mission in DRC. Will it be sustained, enlarged, or maybe diminished? And what is the understanding of possible ways to deal with the conflict in DRC? Will it be following Luanda or Nairobi process, or maybe some other form? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, the last one.
Okay, I'm Sfiso Mapranga from CFM Stable. Okay, my question is directed to Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs. Okay, you recently mentioned about the Africa Perspective Dialogue, which was recently held in Ghana. I'd like to understand or to know how are we performing in terms of exports as a country lately, and how prepared are we as a country to participate in the regional trade, especially considering that our local projects, some of our local projects recently and of late, they have been a deficit in some of our supermarkets. So how prepared are we to participate in this? Thank you.
Over to you, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Chief Secretary. Yeah, the last question, we never discussed about that, about supermarkets and all that, but you know, all the supermarkets have got enough stock, and we are all aware of that. But I'll align the first three questions to the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Trade. This platform, we want to discuss issues that we have highlighted and summarized at the post-cabinet briefing session. If you have more energy or any propensity to ask more questions, I can respond to some of the questions at certain forums, or we can refer you to the particular minister, but we are there to ensure that we respond to all the questions. All the supermarkets are operating very well, except some which have had internal challenges in terms of management. But there is food everywhere. We don't have a shortage of food. I'm sure you are aware of that. Over to you, Prof.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Mkudzei, His Excellency the President, Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa, had engagements that he made. The first one, I will start with the engagement with President Daniel Chapo for the Republic of Mozambique. The meeting was emphasizing the importance of increasing trade between Zimbabwe and the Republic of Mozambique, that Zimbabwe and the Republic of Mozambique have got a long-term relationship that started a long time ago, and also recently, during our liberation struggles, we fought side by side to get our political independence. And what is very important at this moment is that we move into economic cooperation as one of our key ways of cementing our relationships. So the issue was to do with trade, and I think you would have seen that when President Chapo was giving his post-brief press conference, post-brief with the President press conference, he was able to demonstrate that what we need now is to increase the amount of trade between Zimbabwe and the Republic of Mozambique. So this engagement, we expect that this impetus by our leaders to say we should increase trade should spur our local production systems with both in Mozambique and Zimbabwe, so that we are oriented towards trade. The same issue with a meeting with a state minister from UAE, the main discussion there was to increase trade between Zimbabwe and the UAE, particularly the economic cooperation agreement that we have to sign between ourselves and the UAE. And you would know from statistics that as we speak, UAE is the second largest trading partner to Zimbabwe at this moment, number one being South Africa, which means it's very important that we continue talking and increasing our economic cooperation between ourselves and the UAE. So you can see that since we started engaging with the UAE sometime in 2018, 2019, the trade statistics jumped to number 2. So it shows the effectiveness of our engagement agenda through His Excellency the President, Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa. And we talked about our doctrine last week, about making sure that Zimbabwe is prosperous, Zimbabwe's integrity and dignity through trade, not donations. So basically it shows what happened. So these engagements, I'm sure, they will increase the very thing that we always want to increase, trade. And I said in my first question, prosperity in a country can only come through trade, because you can't eat your fingers to be prosperous. You actually have to trade. So on the other hand, about there is a question about conflicts in the DRC. The humanitarian situation in the DRC is dire. We were able, as SADC, to hold an extraordinary summit in November to talk about DRC. We then did another one in January, but His Excellency the President, as chairperson of SADC, was able to do something that we have never done before, which is to talk and have a common understanding with another bloc, which is the EAC, in order to have a combined effort in making sure that we bring peace and tranquility and progress to the people of the eastern part of DRC through dialogue. What we are promoting is peace, because from peace you can bring development. And what has been the approach? In the past, there was state-to-state negotiations and peace negotiations. We have expanded this to state and non-state negotiations. It means everybody in the conflict has to sit down and talk. And we believe there is no other alternative. And communiques have been issued by SADC, by the combined SADC EAC meetings, to really emphasize that it is important that all parties to the conflict sit on the same table and talk. And this one has been done. It has been done in Dar es Salaam. It was again done at the African Union. And we believe that it's a matter of time. Peace is going to come to the eastern part of DRC. We have to keep engaged. We have to keep the people talking, because talking through bullets has never brought peace, but death. So this is exactly what we are doing. And we are patient. His Excellency is patient. His colleagues are patient. And we are moving towards this way to make sure that there is peace in the eastern part of DRC. As you know, we have SADC peacekeepers that are in there, and there has not been talk of withdrawal of those, because we want to ensure that they take part in facilitating the dialogue that we are promoting among the warring parties. So that is the strategic aim, to bring peace and tranquility in the eastern part of DRC and respect the sovereignties of all the countries that are involved in the process. And the most important innovation, as I said before, is the inclusion of everybody who is involved in the politics, in the conflict, whether they are state or non-state. And on the last one, how far we are performing, I will not give anything to do with supermarkets, but how far are we performing in terms of trade? You would know that Zimbabwe, in its participation in the Prosperity Dialogue and so forth, in terms of trade, you know, last year, 2024, Zimbabwe had an excess of 7 billion in exports. That's how much we have been performing. And we have said before, at the inception of the Second Republic, Zimbabwe was having a GDP of around 16 billion, but now we are having an excess of 50 billion in terms of our GDP, and this can only be a result of increased trade. So we are performing well. but we should not be complacent. We will continue working hard because ilizwe lakiwa ngabanikazi ba, because nyika eno bakwane bene ba. We have to continue working. We are not going to rest. I think.
Honorable Ministers, thank you very much for responding to questions from your colleagues. We've come to the end of today's session.